reason I wanted to do this one with you is partially just to show you how you can enter all the information into your calculator in one step. It ends up being pretty straightforward. The first thing we need to recognize is that we've been given kind of two separate pieces of information. We've been given the area of the circle. Well, that's good, but we're going to need to use that to find our radius before we can even plug it into our arc measure formula, okay? I hope as you recall, the arc length or the arc measure is, I'll just say arc measure equals 2 pi r times the measure of the angle over 360 degrees. Do you remember that? Okay, so what we need is the radius before we can figure this out. Well, off to the side, A equals pi r squared. So we know our radius is 40.6 equals pi r squared. Divide both sides by pi, divide by pi. So now we need to get r by itself. We have r equals, essentially we have 40.6 divided by pi. I'm just going to leave it just like that. Perfectly fine to plug into our equation just like that. Well, we know the arc length is 2.8 meters, so that's going to go right here, 2.8. So right now, all I'm doing is I'm just plugging in all the values that I know. I know that this is 2, I know this is pi, I know that my radius is this big piece right here, 40.6 divided, well, I guess I should have done my radical to be nice and big, like I had it over here, 40.6 over pi, and then the measure of my arc, which is what I'm trying to find, over 360 equals. Okay, so it's m that I'm looking for. That's the piece that's missing. So we're going to just divide both sides of the equation by this big ugly mess, right? Okay, so dividing it by 2 pi, 40.6 over pi, and I have to do it to both sides, so I have 2 pi divided by 40.6 over pi. Okay? So all of this cancels, people. This whole thing cancels. All right? It equals 1. Now I have 2.8 over all of this. So let me just show you. 2.8 over, I know probably wouldn't have to rewrite all this, but I want you to see it. 40.6 over pi equals m over 360. All I have to do is get this all by itself. Okay, so if you enter all of this into your calculator, you're going to be left with approximately 0.12. So you have 0.12 equals m over 360. People, all you have to do to finish this out is multiply by 360, okay? Because this was divided by 360, so you're multiplying. You can leave this in your calculator, that big long row that had 0.12. 0.12 times 360, you should get approximately 45 degrees. And it said, what is the approximate arc measure? So you're fine.